It is March 29th, 2026, Sunday. It's almost March 30th, Monday, in about 2 or 3 minutes probably. Anyway, but gonna do a quick video. Gonna cover another criminal case to highlight some relationship dynamics that men need to be very aware of, that I feel, and that is the power dynamics in relationships and the consequences of not realizing that there are always power dynamics in relationships and there are always agendas in relationships, and men need to realize that. And I've been highlighting the women's dual mating strategy, and you can be either the alpha bang in that dual mating strategy, you can be the beta male provider, which we've seen, or I've shown, I believe, in 9 prior cases, that the beta male provider, yes, he is liked, but he's not respected. And if a man's not respected, he's not loved. And if he's not loved by a woman, then he will be at risk of, being a victim of many things, right? Of her agenda, right? And then if it's taking his money, if it's taking his house, taking his kids, taking his reputation and damaging it in the community, because when a woman doesn't respect you and she doesn't love you, and you're in her way, and it's a feature, not a bug, in my opinion. They want to get their agenda across. And it's not that this makes women bad, it just makes men need to know this. And men need to know when they're not respected, and men need to know when they're not loved. And when they're not loved and not respected, you can't try to win that back through begging, through argument, through providing gifts or services or whatever. You can't earn it back. She's going to do what she wants to do, and usually that's what we've shown is that's what the alpha bang. And so the beta male provider is at risk. In my opinion, he's liked, but often not respected as much as he thinks he should, and often not the one she chooses, right? Because it's the women work off feelings, not off of logic and reason. So a beta male provider, in a men's eyes, yeah, we see, if you put it on paper, that guy's more valuable. But in a woman's eyes, how she feels is more valuable to her. And we could argue that. But like I said, in these cases, it's hard to argue any other way, because what we'll cover now, just going further, is the Chase Poynter and Robert Poynter case. And this happened in Texas, near Dallas. Robert Poynter was a captain of the University Point Fire Department. Very well respected amongst his fire department guys. Firefighters loved him. His ex-wife loved him of 20 years. His kids loved him from his first marriage, and he had a third daughter with the co-conspirator in this murder. And she's only 4, so I'm sure she loved him dearly. So we do this to honor these guys and to teach guys, out there that are dating and maybe having problems or not navigating, is how not to be victims, and recognizing power dynamics in relationships, and recognizing how women work is extremely important. I don't think I can stress that enough. So anyway, what happens in this case is Robert Poynter was married and started having an affair with Chase Poynter. And at the time, she was 22, and she was a nurse's aide that would visit the fire department that he worked at. And she seemed to be somewhat of a predator, in the fact that, she would go up to the fire department. She liked Robert or whatever. But, I think she knew that he could provide for her. And so, for whatever reason, I think that was the main reason. And so she, ended up, his wife found out, and they ended up getting married. And So, but you have this big age difference. And at the time, this is mentioned in the story, is that she was 104 pounds heavier. And over a 2-year period, she lost 104 pounds. Well, this brought new life to her. She said that, she started meeting people, and it seemed like she was meeting people off of Facebook, possibly meeting, and we say people, and that was men. And admittedly, she was having many affairs. Just prior to the murder, she was involved with 4 different men. So that was a big issue. And Robert, he was, he found out. Again, even though he found out, and I've said this before, once you find out that your wife has had an affair, it is over. You need to circle the wagons. You need to get your stuff together, money, as quick as you can, protect yourself. Because, it's important that she will be protecting herself. So, and get out. There's no earning that back. It's just my experience, through my own personal experience, through friends. It's never worked out well when someone's cheating on them. You cannot beg yourself back. You cannot argue. You can't make a case for, you just can't. It just, you'd be a rare case if it works after your wife has an affair. But anyway, so having said that, he kept trying, and he was miserable. And all his fire guys, he was talking to his fire buddies, and they could tell he was miserable. And they were telling him, dude, you got to get out, And he didn't want to split up his family. He didn't want to have a second divorce. He said he was too invested. And I'll tell you this, you're never too invested in anything to be miserable. You're never. And, you're just not. And there's always, and I hate to say it's kind of a little, more fish in the sea, but there are more people out there, that will treat you better, that will respect you. If this current person is not, someone will, that will see your value. If you love yourself enough and respect yourself enough, you'll get out, right? So anyway, they were having problems, and, but Robert was trying to work it out. And what ends up happening, he's even told, like I said, by his daughter. And then, so to try to work on the marriage, and I don't recommend doing this. We just saw this. I've done another breakdown video on this. But there's the Koenig, Gerhard Koenig, in Hawaii case going on, attempted murder case going on right now. And his wife was having an affair, and they go to Hawaii. He's done all this stuff to try to, prepare the marriage. Well, you can do 100 different trips, and if she doesn't want to be with you, if she doesn't desire you, have genuine burning desire, shout out Rollo Tomasi. If she doesn't have genuine burning desire for you, you are done. It's done. You can't trip that. You can't vacation that into her. You can't, argue that into her. You can't beg that. You just can't. She has to have it naturally. So, so they're on this trip in Mexico, and Robert's doing his best to, repair their marriage, and she's talking to her co-conspirator in the murder, who she's currently sleeping with. And he gets wind, and she says that they have an argument about this while they're on their vacation or whatever. So right there shows you, he's taking her on this trip, provided this vacation. She doesn't care. She's more concerned about her boyfriend back in the States, Michael Garza, who ends up becoming his killer. And that's, guys, you can't. And he was probably, like I saw, the alpha bang. This is, we honor these guys. They're true heroes. He's a fireman. He's a hero. And, but she doesn't think he's a hero because she thinks he's dirt, trash, because she doesn't respect him. She doesn't love him. And I think she probably knew that he knew she was cheating. And when a woman knows that, she's almost, right, wrong, or indifferent, she's almost disgusted by that. So, and that's not putting a value on it. I don't put value or morality on any of this. It's just how we, I guess, all are wired. Whatever, it doesn't matter. But so yeah, so at the time, they changed. Robert Poynter changes his benefits. They come back to the States, and then he changes his benefits, his insurance, and he puts her as primary beneficiary. And during that time, after they changed her benefits to her, it was $685,000. She was sleeping with 4 different men at that time, and she was, what do I say, class? What was she saying was happening to her? She was being abused. She told all 4 of these guys how she was being abused, and she needed help, and she needed, help to deal with Robert Poynter, the hero fireman, who, once again, like I said in all these other cases, there were only allegations made, and they did, even the police department did investigations, and family members talked about this. No one else saw this abuse that she claimed was happening, which I believe were lies, but to manipulate these men. Well, one person believed it, and that was Michael Garza, and he's the one that ended up, use that, protective instinct of a male, to protect a woman, and she's being abused, so he can somehow rationalize that he's doing her a favor and doing the world a favor. But that's through her manipulation. She used sex, and she used the manipulations that she was being abused. So even 12 days prior to the murder, there's on his ring cam, and this is another mistake that Robert Poynter makes, is he gets a ring cam or some kind of camera, on the doorbell, and he wants to catch, her having an affair, just possibly. He wants to catch it, and see if she's having. If you're at that point where you want to catch your wife, you will never catch her having an affair. Let's say you caught someone coming over to your house. Big deal. So she's going to explain it. Also, if you're never, almost never, going to catch anyone having an affair on you. You're going to have to take the facts that you have and say, okay, with these facts, is it more likely than not that my partner's having an affair? And, just go from there. If you think they are, like I've said, they probably are. To move accordingly, talk to friends, talk to lawyers, talk to a psychologist there, but figure out what to do. But make a plan. Once you start thinking that, don't go snooping. Start talking to friends, professionals, get a rational, logical plan in place. So, and one guy even comes to the house because she said she was being abused. And the guy even said, yeah, she was telling me she was being abused, and, I wasn't buying it at first. And, she worked me over, so I went over to her house and finally, tried to confront him. She runs out, get out of here, So anyway, so again, the abuse, like I said, here's the pattern we've seen in other cases. I just want to highlight this for those that are keeping score. What do we have going on? Sexual affairs, and torrid sexual affairs, where she's having, rock'em sock'em, sexual affairs. We have money. We have a provider. We have a man that's respected, and this man, hero of the community, a fire captain. And so, all these, providing, protecting, he's parenting, he's got a child with her, and she's having the affair, and he has money. So, and she's having these torrid sexual affairs. We've seen this in all cases that I put up. This is, I believe, the 10th case now. This is not an accident that this is going on. We're just pointing out, this is what happens oftentimes when you're not that number one guy, when you're not seen as that hero. It's just, the beta male provider is just not respected. It's not respected, and I would say probably not your most advantageous spot to be. That's just my opinion. It's only my opinion. So, and like I said, it doesn't mean it's going to end in your demise and in victimization of a murder. No, it doesn't. But victimization of another kind, when you're not that genuine burning desire guy, the alpha bang guy, it'll be a different kind of victimization. Choose whatever you want to be, whether it be taking your property, taking your house, ruining your reputation, clowning you around town. I mean, whatever it may be, you're going to pay a price to me. Concluding with this case, so Chasey Poynter is with Michael Garza having sex all day. I believe she had sex with 2 different guys that day. But anyway, but she's having sex all day with Michael Garza. I do know that. And he's the one that ends up killing Robert Poynter. And he's the suspect. And he's convicted. He's received 99 years. And Chasey, they're trying to fix the marriage, and they basically she's trying to get him to like a Jack in the Box, right? And apparently this is where they used to meet and have tacos, and so she was luring him there with, hey, let's try to work on this, and we can get some tacos like we used to, and talk about it. And so Michael Garza is orchestrating this, and instead of going to the Jack in the Box, he tells her to pull down this road like 25, 95. It's just a dirt road for like farmers. It's a rural area by Dallas. It's near Dallas, but Royce, Texas, I believe. But anyway, so then she goes down this road, and she claims she's gotten stuck, and she needs Robert Poynter, her husband at the time's help to get her out of her Jeep. She had a Jeep out of this stuck place she's in. So and by the way, she was late, she never showed up to Jack in the Box, even though Robert Poynter, the victim's there. And so he goes running off to this 25-95 rural road that she claims she's stuck at. And she meets him, and he gets out of his truck, and she's like, oh, hey, and she's like, oh, you have that cologne on, the same cologne, the one you had on when we were married. She's buttering him up. I mean, check this out, guys. We've seen this before. No F's given that he's about to meet his maker, like he's about to meet his demise. Cold blood. I said ice cold blood and ruthless, man. When you ain't respected, you ain't loved. And, especially if you haven't been that way in a while, ruthless, man. I'm telling you, I can't stress it any harder. Ice cold. So she's like, oh, I'm stuck. So he gets in the Jeep to move it. Well, who comes around the corner? Michael Garza with a shotgun. I believe Mossberg, with slugs in it, and just almost like, right, assassination to the head. And, and left him there, got him there. And she calls the police and does this fake, once again, another, oh my God, we've seen this before. Another, you might as well put it on repeat. And I don't even say that to be, I say it to, in disgust of all this stuff. It's just disgusting, the behavior. And so, the police come out and they interview her for, like 12 hours, 8 hours, something like that. And, she gives up, her boyfriend's, name, and then they go to trial. He gives her up, doesn't help him at all. They ended up finding the shotgun months later, just right by where he was. It's a rural farm area, so he had dumped it in the field, and it came back they ran the serial number, it came back to his brother, Matthew Garza. So go figure, and again, and they had text messages of her, trying to elicit, I need my husband gone, I want him gone, I need him, someone help me. She tried to get 4 different guys to help her, and luckily the 3 of them said no, but unfortunately she got the right guy. And she claims she didn't do any of this, and she had no idea yet. She's luring him to this desolate rural area, and he just so happens to be shot right there, and then she saw a guy run off. So anyway, so in conclusion of this case, like I said, the shooter got 99 years. She was found as a co-conspirator. I believe she got life without possibility of parole. And that's the case. But like I said, it doesn't pay to, like I said, be a beta male provider. And like I said, if Robert Poynter, the hero fireman he was, if he would have known the danger he was in, if he would have known what can happen, and everybody out there, I've been there, when you're in a bad relationship and a woman has lost respect for you and a woman has not loving you, and I've said it enough here, I think, but you are in danger. And in danger of what? Who knows? But just, you're not in a safe place. I really don't. I really want to stress that. Start as hard as it may be. And like I said before, reach out to a male friend. He's probably been through this. He could probably walk you through it. And sometimes, they say give it to God. Give it to a good friend who's been through this, or a therapist, or somebody to help you walk through it. And no one says it's going to be easy. No one said you can't have emotions. Emote to your friend, but be practical. And start making moves to get out. Start, protecting your money. Start protecting, get with a divorce attorney. At least reach out. It's going to happen regardless. What's the statement? You can ignore reality, but you can't ignore the consequences of ignoring reality. Because guaranteed, she's moving. And the thing is, and I'll say this lastly, is Robert Poynter, just before his death, I think it was the day before, he had said, I might do a sneak attack on her, meaning with a lawyer, and present divorce papers, right? And I think she got wind of it. I think that's what they were saying, the prosecutor, I think, and that's why she moved when she moved. So again, keep all your stuff very, very, hidden. I'm just saying this as a guy. Protect yourself. And women, you go get women to give you advice, but I'm here for guys, But I want everybody to win, but guys, you go reach out to a male friend, let him walk you through it, give it to him, let somebody that you really trust. If you don't, your brother, friend, another male probably been through it, or even, there's probably groups on the internet like nowadays. You can reach out, like, hey, I'm going through this, what can I do? What are my rights? Whatever, but take action. Because I guarantee you might not even know a woman's taking action, So, like I said, I beat that dead horse right there. But like I said, it's case number 10. We see the patterns. We see what happens. So, guys, we got to protect ourselves, and we don't want any more victims like this. And one less person, 2 less people, we can reach out, whatever. And that's why I do these videos. Hope it's helping. Honestly, this is a passion of mine. I'm retired, so I got time, and I've lived this stuff. I've researched this stuff, and I love this stuff. So, and I believe I can help by doing this. Making the men aware of these things. So anyway, with that, I'll call it a day. You have a good one. I'll see you on the next one.